So how did it feel to have your first #1 record, though, with I Take the Chance?
Well, whenever you're wanting to get into the business, it feels great because that's the way you had to do it back then. We didn't have television back then to rely on, but we had radio, and that was a big record for us.
And now you mentioned that when I heard the Bluebird Sing came out, you were in the military. You were drafted
56,
for, well, what was it, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
And after your discharge, you came back to Nashville and recorded a song that sort of went down in history, I guess, as one of the greatest songs, The Three Bells.
Right. You got it.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't The Three Bells supposed to be sort of kind of a farewell song?
It was. We had not been doing much, and after I'd gotten out of the Army, I went back to the sawmill and was working there, and Maxine and Bonnie had both gotten married and all, so we just decided that we would step out of the business because we wasn't doing that much. But The Three Bells changed a whole lot of things, and the Browns' life.
And I guess that song has sold over 1 million copies by now.
Oh, about a little over 3.
3 million? Wow. And so I guess that song was the first #1 country song ever to cross over to #1 on the pop and rhythm and blues charts as well.
Right, it was.
And
Very few ever got onto the rhythm and blues charts, from country.
And so the Browns went on to have such other hits as Scarlet Ribbon, The Old Lamplighter, Send Me the Pillow That You Dream On, and led you to...
Can't Grow Peaches on a Cherry Tree. A few others.
And it actually led you and your sisters to join the Grand Ole Opry around 1962.
That's right, yep.
So that must have been another high point for your career.
That was really because we were to the point that if we were going to stay in the business, then we needed to come up here and become a member of the Opry. So that's what we did. We talked them into inviting us to be a member.
But then Bonnie and Maxine decided to sort of, I guess, retire around the mid-'60s. And,
right, 67 it was.
So did that cause problems for you right away? Were you
sure. I had them to lean on all of my career, and all of a sudden, whenever they're not there, that's kind of scary again. And but it worked out okay. Along came Papa Top, and everything worked out fine. Thank goodness.
And Papa Top came along around 66, and that really has since become, wouldn't you say, your signature song? All
right. It has. For me, yes.
And so how did you come to record Papa Top?
Well, Nat Stuckey wrote it, sent it in to Chet Atkins, and I heard it, and Felton Jarvis and I went into Studio B and recorded it, and the rest, of course,
When you were recording it, did you think that it would become such a big a hit as it was?
You never know. You always think that it's a good song, but you don't really know what it's going to do. I've recorded a lot that I thought was going to be hits that weren't, and I recorded some that I didn't think was going to do much, and they were hits. So you never know. You never know what the general public's going to accept.
So, what were some of your other hits, Jim Ed, from your solo career?
Oh, a song called "Morning," "Southern Lovin'," "Barroom Pals," "Good Time Gals." Just a few. Then along came Helen Cornelius, and we had quite a few there. I Don't Want to Have to Marry You.
I had Helen on my program last Wednesday, it was.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's great.
And so we had back-to-back Jim Ed Brown and Helen Cornelius, but I Don't Want to Have to Marry You came along, and then a whole mess of other hits. Would you mind telling us your story of how you came to meet Helen Cornelius?
Bob Ferguson introduced. Bob Ferguson's the one that's responsible for that. He had her on his mind because he had been listening to some of the songs that she was writing, and he signed her actually to RCA. And then when I Don't Want to Have to Marry You came along, well, then he's the one that put us together with it.
And it was around the 1960s, through the 1960s and into the 70s, that you hosted 2 syndicated television shows. Nashville
on the Road was a great one with Jerry Clower, and of course then later, after Helen started recording with me, then in the 70s, well then she joined the show too. But it was Jerry Clower, Wendy Holcomb, and then Helen Cornelius, and after 76, I guess it was.
And you went on to have more success with television, along with the Nashville Network in 1983. And you hosted You Can Be a Star, which is still a show that is talked about today. A lot of people still remember that.
That's good. I'm glad, because there's still a lot of people that was on that show that's in the music business today that's doing well. And then after that, was my wife and I, Becky and I, we did a show called Going Our Way, which was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun traveling around the country with that.
And so you continued to tour throughout all this time, throughout the 1990s, and continued to record.
I still enjoy singing, and I still enjoy traveling, and so here I am. I'm still doing it. Going to Texas for some dates, and then going to Florida. I'm trying to stay south because this cold weather I don't like.
Yeah, it's pretty cold up here. We're supposed to get around, I don't know, a foot to 14 inches of snow here in New Hampshire tomorrow. And
well, send us about 2 or 3 inches of it. That would be enough.
We'd like to send you all of it. Get it away from us up here. But I guess, what do you enjoy the most about working the road?
Oh, goodness. Well, you always enjoy, the stage work part of it. You enjoy the singing. You enjoy meeting the people, because there's so many of them through the years that I've had the opportunity to meet. And it's always good to be able to go back to the places where you've been and say hello to, to all the folks that you've met before. And a few new ones, hopefully.
And, of course, you and your sisters have reunited a couple times over the years for special performances.
Yeah, every once in a while they'd come to Nashville and we'd do something or another, but not much. Wish they would.
There was a...
Good, actually. Maxine can't do much traveling anymore.
That's too bad. You guys, I bet, still sound so great together. The few times I've heard you sing on the Opry over the past couple of years when... I guess they were with you a couple of years ago on the Opry, wasn't it?
They could have been, yes.
I heard that performance, and it was just fabulous. But you have just as great a backup band and a background singers.
Oh, the Gems. They're a good bunch of boys, and they're great musicians. So, yep.
And they work the Opry on the road with you, of course.
Uh-huh. Yep, they do. Thank goodness.